Hello, and welcome to DevOps Quick Bites, your friendly guide to all things Salesforce DevOps. So your code is only as good as the data you test it against. If your sandboxes don't reflect real-world conditions, you're setting yourself up for failed deployments, unexpected bugs, and performance issues in production. Many teams assume that a fresh sandbox is good enough, but without properly seeding realistic, meaningful data in it, your testing is going to be unreliable. In this episode, I want to break down why data seeding is critical, how to do it safely and effectively, and how you can streamline that process. So if that sounds good to you, stick around. Sandboxes provide a safe environment for development and testing. But if they don't contain realistic data, the results you get from testing won't translate well to production. Many teams fall into the trap of assuming that just having a sandbox is enough, without considering what's actually inside it. When test data doesn't match real-world conditions, several issues are likely to arise. One of the most common problems is false positives. A change may appear to work perfectly in a sandbox, only to fail in production, because it wasn't tested against large datasets or edge cases. Performance issues are another major concern, as queries that run efficiently in a sandbox with minimal data might slow down dramatically in a production environment that contains millions of records. And additionally, missing dependencies can cause unexpected failures after deployment. If automation rules or validation processes rely on related records that aren't present in a sandbox, then that deployment can break, introducing instability. A sandbox without properly seeded data can lead to misleading test results, missed edge cases, and failed deployments. So a strong data strategy, covering data seeding, masking, and controlled deployments, will ensure that your testing environments accurately reflect production and give you confidence that your changes will succeed. There are two main ways to populate sandboxes with meaningful test data. The first approach is using production data while ensuring that it's copied safely. The most accurate way to test changes is to use real data, but this comes with compliance risks. Directly copying customer records can expose sensitive information, leading to potential security and privacy issues. So to mitigate this risk, teams need to apply data masking techniques to anonymize those sensitive fields while keeping the overall structure and the relationships intact. The second option is to generate synthetic data. When teams can't use production data due to those privacy concerns, they may attempt to create mock data for testing purposes. Now, this works well in some cases, particularly for development environments that don't require real-world complexity. However, artificial data can lack the depth and variability of real production data, which means that some of those edge cases might be missed. A mix of both approaches is usually the best solution, pulling structural information from production while masking sensitive details, ensuring that test environments remain realistic without exposing that confidential information. One of the biggest risks of using production data in sandboxes is that potential of exposing sensitive information. Customer names, financial details, and personal identifiers should never be accessible in those lower environments. But many teams unknowingly copy that real data without considering those compliance risks. And this is why data masking is a critical part of any DevOps strategy. By applying data masking, teams can anonymize personal and financial details, ensuring that developers never work with real customer information, but still preserving the overall data structure. A good masking strategy will keep the shape and relationships of that data, allows workflows and automation to be properly tested, but without introducing those compliance risks. When masking is automated, teams don't have to manually adjust records before every sandbox refresh, and that reduces the human error and improves the security. DevOps platforms such as Gearset provide built-in data masking capabilities that make this process pretty seamless. So by automatically identifying and replacing sensitive values, teams can use production data confidently in test environments without that risk of exposing that information. Seeding and masking data is only the first step. Teams also need a reliable way to move that data between environments. Many organizations will still be relying on spreadsheets and manual exports or custom scripts to transfer test data. But as you can imagine, these processes are inefficient and often lead to missing relationships or incomplete data sets. A better solution is, of course, to use a deployment tool that allows teams to select specific records, maintain that referential integrity, and deploy data and metadata side by side. This ensures that not only is the data, but the configuration settings that rely on it are properly migrated across environments. Instead of spending hours manually moving data, teams can deploy complex data sets in minutes using automated tools. Gearset simplifies this process by providing an intuitive way to deploy data between Salesforce environments. By automatically resolving those dependencies and ensuring that only the necessary records are moved, teams can maintain consistency and avoid some of those common pitfalls like missing parent-child relationships. Once data seeding, masking, and deployments are in place, the next step is automation. Relying on manual processes for refreshing test data can slow down deployment cycles and introduce inconsistencies. Automating that data movement ensures that every environment remains in sync and ready for testing. So by integrating data movement into your CI/CD pipelines, teams can schedule that automatic data deployment and refresh sandboxes before each release cycle. That eliminates the need for those manual interventions and ensures that test environments are always relevant and up to date. Tracking the changes over time as well also helps maintain visibility into that data lifecycle. It allows teams to monitor modifications and troubleshoot any weird discrepancies that might have crept in. With the right tools, teams can streamline their DevOps workflows by reducing manual errors, saving time and improving the reliability of deployments. Automated data seeding is going to be a key part of that, ensuring that tests reflect real-world conditions, and that leads to more stable and predictable releases. So the key takeaway here is, if you're testing on bad data, you might be shipping bad code. So stop relying on empty, outdated sandboxes and start seeding realistic, meaningful test data into your DevOps workflow. And with tools like Gearset, you can take this further, ensuring that you've got secure, automated, reliable data movement across all of your Salesforce environments. So that's it for today's DevOps Quick Bite. If you found this helpful, let me know how your team's going to handle data seeding. And don't forget to click the link to subscribe for more DevOps Quick Bites. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.